My name is Dr. Amelia Hart, and I was told not to come home for Christmas. The call came 3 days before the holiday. I had just returned from a long shift at the hospital, exhausted but still smiling at the packed bag by my door. I had carefully bought gifts for everyone, including the rosemary stuffing ingredients they always requested, though they never remembered I was the one who made it. I even picked out a forest green sweater, soft, simple, festive, just enough, not trying too hard. When my phone buzzed, I saw my younger brother Liam's name. I assumed he was calling to ask about napkins or carpooling, like every year. Instead, he said, "Hey, so listen. Olivia is coming to Christmas, right? She's really sensitive to energy, like how a room feels. With your work sometimes, it can feel heavy. For her sake, maybe skip this one. Nothing personal." I didn't argue. I didn't ask what he meant. He didn't say, "You're a doctor helping people end their lives with dignity." Just, heavy, like a wet towel on Instagram aesthetics. An hour later, my mom called. Her voice was soft but sharp. "Honey, we're just trying to make this easy for everyone. If you come, it could cause confusion. Honestly, we might not answer the door." That's when I realized it wasn't just an uninvitation. I was unwanted. I didn't yell or cry. I simply said, "Okay." Hung up and opened my banking app. Mortgage payment canceled. Car loan top-up frozen. Emergency fund locked. No posts, no messages, just silence. And for the first time, that silence was mine. I had spent my life thinking their treatment of me was normal. That I was too serious, too focused, too much. I was the eldest, the trial run, as my dad once joked when handing Liam the bigger slice of cake. Liam, the golden child, creative, charming, miracle baby born after years of trying. I was just first. When Liam was 6, he drew all over the living room wall with a permanent marker. My parents called it expressive. When I broke a bowl while helping set the table, I was careless and told I needed to pay more attention. Liam came home from school with a participation ribbon once. It stayed on the fridge for a week. I brought home straight A's and they said that's nice, then slid the report card into a drawer. Once I even left my perfect GP letter on the kitchen counter hoping someone would ask. No one did. When I got accepted to medical school first round, no gap year, no second tries, I printed the acceptance letter and showed my mom. She said, "Wow, that's intense. Be careful not to burn out." When Liam dropped out of college for the 3rd time to pursue creative direction, they threw him a re-entry party. Balloons, cake, a photo of him with a paintbrush now sits framed in the hallway as if he cured cancer. They always said he was artsy, that he felt things deeply. I once found my sketchbook in the recycling bin under flyers. When I asked, they said it was scrap paper. Despite everything, I kept going. I worked hard, graduated early, and got licensed. I started treating elderly patients, people who had been dismissed, forgotten, left to decline alone. I gave them my time, my energy, my whole heart. At home, I gave just as quietly. I fixed their plumbing, paid off lingering bills without being asked. I lent Liam money when his freelance gig fell through. Never asked for it back. Never mentioned it. But none of that mattered. In my family's eyes, Liam was the star. And I, despite everything, was just the one who always showed up on time and didn't complain, until I stopped. There's a strange pain in being the person everyone relies on but no one truly sees. That was me, the fixer, the helper, the quiet backbone. The one who covered the cost of a new water heater when theirs broke in February. The one who spotted the overdraft on my parents' account and transferred money before they noticed. The one who booked Liam's flight home for Thanksgiving when he said he was short after buying new camera equipment. And I never said no. Not once. Not when my mom needed copays for her therapy. Not when Liam called from the side of the road because his car battery had died again. I bought him a new one that week. I was useful, and I thought that meant I was valued. But slowly, I noticed a pattern. My contributions were invisible until they stopped. They forgot who helped but remembered who caused discomfort. When I was there, I was too quiet, too serious, too intense. When I wasn't, things were lighter, easier, more fun. Still, I kept helping. Out of love, I told myself. Out of obligation, maybe. Or maybe just out of habit. That night, after they told me not to come for Christmas, something inside me shifted. It wasn't rage, it was realization. I opened my banking app and paused each recurring transfer. The $800 monthly top-up to their mortgage. Gone. The emergency fund I kept for family emergencies. Locked. The $1,200 Liam still owed me. I knew it would never come back, but I wouldn't let another cent go his way. They wouldn't feel it immediately. That's the thing about being silently useful, it only matters when it disappears. I didn't announce it. No posts, no messages, no passive-aggressive quotes online. Just silence. And for the first time, that silence felt like power. For years, I'd tried to earn their love, to prove my worth. The golden child, the creative, the one who made them look good, they had no shortage of admiration. And me. The one who quietly held it all together. For years, I believed being the dependable one was enough. I thought usefulness equaled value. I was the silent support, the fixer, the one who absorbed all their needs while keeping my own life running. I paid bills they forgot, lent money they never repaid, and kept their chaos from spilling into the world. I even covered for Liam when he overextended himself, quietly fixing the mistakes that followed. I never demanded recognition. I assumed love and gratitude would naturally follow effort. But that night, when they told me not to come to Christmas, everything shifted. I realized that all my silent labor, my devotion, my sacrifices, my constant presence, meant nothing in the eyes of the people who were supposed to cherish me. Their focus was always on Liam, the golden child, who never seemed to face consequences the way I did. His mistakes were celebrated as artistic expression, mine were quietly corrected and dismissed. I thought about all the times my achievements had been overlooked. Straight A's in school, acceptance into medical school on the first try, graduating early, earning my license, moments I had expected pride and acknowledgement for, but instead, they were met with passing comments, warnings about burnout, or complete silence. Meanwhile, Liam's third attempt at college earned him parties, balloons, and framed photos. He had the freedom to fail and still be lauded. I had to succeed and still remain invisible. That night, I let myself break the pattern. I opened my banking app and paused all recurring transfers. The mortgage top-up. Cancelled. Emergency maintenance funds. Frozen. Any money owed by Liam. I refused to cover it silently anymore. I realized the power I had been giving away without acknowledgement could now be mine. The silence I once feared became my sanctuary. For the first time, I understood that my worth did not depend on how much I gave or how useful I was to them. I had spent decades trying to earn their love and validation, trying to be someone who could make their lives easier. But they had no intention of seeing me for who I really was, only for the convenient role I played. As I sat there that night, I felt a strange mix of fear and relief. Fear that I might never be loved the way I deserved, but relief that I was finally choosing myself. No apologies, no explanations, no silent martyrdom. Just boundaries. Just recognition that my life and my energy were mine to control. The next few days were quiet. Christmas came and went without me. I spent it alone in my small apartment, wrapped in a blanket with a mug of tea. The gifts I had carefully selected sat unopened. The rosemary-scented stuffing I had bought remained in the pantry. I didn't light a tree. I didn't call anyone. I simply allowed myself to exist without performing for them, without earning their approval. It was strange, at first. Years of ingrained behavior had trained me to show up, to solve problems, to fix everything that wasn't perfect. I was the invisible caretaker, the one everyone depended on but never truly noticed. And now, for the first time, I didn't have to. That silence, once a heavy weight, became liberating. 3 days after Christmas, my phone buzzed repeatedly. First, my mother called, ignored. Then a text, "Can you answer? You've done enough damage already." My stomach sank. Another call, this time from my Aunt Rachel, the only family member who ever sent handwritten cards. I answered cautiously. "What happened yesterday?" she asked softly. "They're saying you ruined Christmas, but you weren't even there." I blinked. I ruined it. I hadn't even stepped foot in their house. She hesitated before continuing. Apparently, Olivia, Liam's girlfriend, had left early after some argument, and my name had come up. That was all she knew, but it was enough. Later that evening, Aunt Rachel called again with more details. Olivia had seen a photo of me in their living room, an old snapshot, probably from a birthday years ago, and recognized me. "You saved my grandmother," she said. "You're Dr. Amelia Hart." The room went completely still, Claire explained. Olivia asked if I was the sister they talked about, and whatever she heard next made her quietly gather her things and leave. I didn't need more details. I could imagine it perfectly. For years, they had joked about me, living in hospitals, being too serious, hard to love. Maybe they even repeated that cruel line Liam once said, "Amelia is basically death in a pantsuit." It wasn't new. But this time, someone else was listening. Someone who didn't grow up believing cruelty was normal. Someone who saw the doctor who stayed by her grandmother's side when everyone else had given up. By not showing up, I had inadvertently revealed the truth. My value existed beyond the family narrative. I wasn't invisible anymore, not to her. And that realization, that small recognition from someone who truly understood, was more healing than anything my family could have offered. After that day, I felt a strange mix of relief and disbelief. Someone had seen me for who I truly was. Olivia, a stranger to my family's favoritism, had recognized the work I had done, the care I had given, and the sacrifices I had made. For years, my family had measured me against Liam, the golden child, the one whose mistakes were celebrated and whose successes were amplified. But here was someone who judged me by my actions, not by the distorted lens of sibling rivalry or parental bias. I didn't immediately reach out. I didn't need to. I simply allowed myself to process the moment. The silence of my apartment became comforting rather than isolating. I reflected on all the times I had poured myself into their lives, fixing bills, paying off debts, running errands, lending money, and how invisible my contributions had been. The realization was liberating. I didn't have to continue performing to earn recognition from people who were never going to appreciate me. Later that evening, I received a voicemail from Olivia herself. Her voice was soft, unpolished, and real. She explained that she had discovered who I was only after seeing old photos of me with her grandmother. "You didn't give up on her when others did," she said. "You were kind, present, and made her feel like she mattered." Her voice cracked slightly. "I'm sorry about what happened with my family and what was said about you. I had no idea." Listening to her words, I felt a warmth I hadn't felt in years. For the first time, someone outside my immediate family had acknowledged my worth. No judgment, no obligations, no expectations, just gratitude. I cried quietly, not from sadness, but from the relief of being truly seen. This recognition forced me to reconsider everything. The years I spent bending myself to fit into my family's narrative, trying to earn love and validation, suddenly seemed unnecessary. My energy, my care, my efforts were not meaningless, they had simply been invisible to the wrong audience. That night, I made a small decision. I framed the letter from Olivia, placed it beside my desk, and allowed it to remind me of what real acknowledgement felt like. It was more powerful than any praise my family had ever given me. And for the first time in decades, I felt that I didn't need their approval to validate my life, my choices, or my worth. The next morning, I sat at my desk with a cup of tea, reflecting on all the boundaries I had finally set. I had withdrawn silently from the people who had taken advantage of me, and in doing so, I had gained clarity, peace, and a renewed sense of self. A few days later, my phone buzzed again. This time it was my mother. She didn't greet me. She launched straight into a tense tirade. "I don't know what you said to her," she said, "but now Liam is a mess. Olivia blocked him. She won't speak to him. And she posted something online about being treated poorly by the family of a woman she admires." I stayed silent, letting her speak. In the background, I could hear the clink of glasses. Maybe she was pacing, maybe pouring herself wine, probably both. She added sharply, "She tagged your photo like it's a crime." I didn't respond. I let her vent. Finally, she reached the point, "We need you to speak to her. Just clarify there was no bad intention." Right. I was suddenly the family's PR department. Damage control for the same people who had uninvited me from their table. "They're ruining your brother's future," my mom continued quietly. "His name is being dragged in the art circles she's part of, in New York. He's being blacklisted." I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because of the absurdity. They had spent decades trying to make me invisible, and now the consequences of that invisibility were landing somewhere they actually cared about. I didn't respond. I said, "I'll think about it," but didn't act. Instead, I opened Olivia's post. It wasn't angry or dramatic, it was honest. She described the doctor who saved her grandmother, the woman who entered a family celebration hoping for warmth and instead witnessed jokes at the same woman's expense. She highlighted the shock of seeing someone so kind dismissed by their own family. No names were used. One line stood out, "Some people hide cruelty behind polite smiles and holiday lights." I realized in that moment that being truly seen didn't require my family's acknowledgement. Olivia had recognized my worth without bias, without expectation. That recognition carried more weight than decades of silence from the people I had devoted my life to pleasing. Later that night, a voicemail arrived from Olivia. Her voice was softer, more human than I remembered. She thanked me, explained what she had seen, and apologized for the family drama. I listened twice, then again, and cried, not from sadness, but because, for the first time in years, someone truly saw me. It was a quiet, simple validation, but it shifted something deep inside me. I realized I didn't have to fix my family's perception of me. I didn't need to rescue Liam or mend their image. I had my own life, my own accomplishments, and for the first time, my own recognition. 3 days later, a small package arrived in the mail. Inside was a handwritten letter on thick paper. The ink smudged slightly at the corners, as though the writer had paused often to choose words carefully. It was from Olivia. She wrote about her grandmother, how she still practiced yoga, walked to the farmer's market, and remembered the young doctor who looked her in the eye and said, "You're not done yet." She thanked me, not just for saving a life, but for showing her what real strength looked like. I framed the letter and placed it beside my desk, the same desk where I finished patient notes every evening. For the first time in years, I didn't feel the need to prove anything. Not to them. Not to anyone. Then, my inbox lit up with an email titled, "Let's Reset Things." It was from my parents and Liam, a united front, carefully worded as if submitting a group project. They didn't apologize directly. Instead, they acknowledged that emotions had run high and that their actions might have been misunderstood. Buried in the fourth paragraph was the real reason for reaching out. They wanted me to contact Olivia and ask her to take down her post. I didn't respond. I saw clearly that their outreach wasn't about healing, it was about damage control and saving face for Liam. I didn't need to be the mop for their mess anymore. That weekend, they even showed up at my apartment. I peeked through the peephole. There they were, my parents and Liam. My mother said softly, "We just want to talk." I didn't move. I finally understood, they weren't here for me. They were here for the version of me who always cleaned up their chaos. That version no longer existed. I didn't invite them in. After a few moments of silence, I said, no. Just that. No explanations, no performance. I closed the door and didn't feel guilty. Instead, I made myself tea and sat at my desk, looking at Olivia's framed letter. For years, I had tried to earn the love of a family that measured me against someone else, the golden child, the artist, the one who always looked good. But I wasn't created to make them comfortable. I was born to heal, to hold hands with people on the edge of goodbye, to care when others turned away. And in choosing myself, I finally saw the truth, my worth does not need their validation. There's power in silence, strength in boundaries, and freedom in recognizing that some people will never see you. But the right people, those strangers, friends, or the lives you touch, can see you clearly, and that is enough. I walked away, not in anger, not in revenge, but in clarity. And for the first time, I felt peace.